クレイと一緒にお魚をドカーンしに行く？
What is up guys, Cynic here and welcome to another Genshin Impact video. I've been playing this game on a daily basis for a few weeks now, and like most of you guys out there, I've made plenty of mistakes that I wish I could have avoided if only I knew these things before I started playing the game. I've made a list of the immediate things that I think you guys should know regardless whether you've already been playing for quite some time or planning to start on playing the game for the very first time. Alright, without further ado, here are 7 things I wish I knew before I started playing Genshin Impact. Number 1. Manage and save your resources. Now I understand that the game is still fairly new and that resources may seem abundant at the beginning, but over time, you're also going to realize you can easily run out of these things as your adventure rank goes higher and higher. This includes Mora, Primogems, character XP materials, Fates for Wishes, and basically everything that you can loot in this game are considered as resources. One of the reasons why you should manage your resources properly is that you'll want to keep most of this stuff for later on when the game starts to feel a bit grindy and slow, which is about adventure rank 30 and onwards. For example, as you ascend characters higher up, the more XP materials you have to use in order to level them up, which means you can basically exhaust your hero's wit material in just 2 or 3 characters very quickly. I would recommend using some of your materials for your main DPS character and probably on a couple of supports, but don't waste materials on characters that you don't even use. Another reason why you should save your resources and not use all of them on your level 40 Amber early on is that newer characters will eventually be introduced as the game gets updated. Patch 1.1 was just teased a few days ago, and the new update will bring a bunch of new characters along with some very interesting ones that you may find yourself wanting to pull for. That being said, you can't really maximize whichever new characters you're going for if you don't have enough resources to build that character up. Be smart with how you spend your resources and just focus on the ones that you really want to use, as there's no point spending precious materials on characters that you will never really use. Number 2. Loot and pick up everything. Like I said in my first tip, everything you can loot and pick up in this game is a valuable resource that can be used one way or another. Whether it's for ascending characters, crafting materials, or leveling up your weapons, just loot everything that comes in your way. For example, I honestly found flowers to be trivial at the very beginning, and I wondered why I should even pick them up, only to realize later on that some characters require flowers in order to ascend to higher levels. At first, you won't really understand the importance of such materials, especially if you're new, so my advice is just to pick up everything shiny that you can see. I would recommend having a good explorer team composition that can do elemental puzzles and one that can mine ores among others. Some characters will have passive perks that can help with exploration, such as Ningguang, who highlights nearby farmable ores on the minimap. Number 3. Tier lists are not everything. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to downplay tier lists because they are honestly very helpful in determining which characters you should go and build for. That said, many people like to follow tier lists, which is very common in gaming, and while it does give you insight on which characters are better, it also doesn't mean that you have to follow them all the time. I believe that whichever character you like playing the most, regardless of how that character ranks in someone's tier list, will always be the best character to play in my opinion. Tier lists are great if you want to follow a certain meta or a certain guide, but if you're really not interested in all that and just wants to play a certain character, then there's really nothing wrong with that, to be honest. There's already a good amount of people uploading guides and videos of characters that aren't so popular and actually showcasing their potential. Genshin Impact is a game that gives you plenty of room to experiment with tons of character builds and strategies. Number 4. Get familiarized with the elements. There are currently 7 elements in the game, and each of them reacts differently to one another. To become better in combat, you have to understand how each of them interact, including bonuses such as the elemental resonance. For example, if you use Chaos Cryo ability to an opponent with a wet or hydro status, this triggers the frozen elemental reaction, which basically freezes your enemy. Another example is the Electro and Pyro combination that produces the overloaded effect. This does AoE pyro damage on top of the attacks that you're doing to the enemy. By understanding these combinations will make you better in Genshin Impact's dynamic combat system, since a lot of enemies in the game have designated elements. Elemental Resonance, on the other hand, is basically synergizing your party's elements based on the characters that are currently in your party. For example, having both Klee and Xiangling in your party will trigger the Fervent Flames buff, which gives you a 25% attack increase as well as a 40% chance of resistance against Cryo. It's always best to know how these elements work early in the game if you want to improve your combat skills and switch characters regularly to take advantage of elemental reactions. Number 5. Build up your stamina. Genshin Impact is a massive open world game that promotes a lot of exploration and fast paced hands on combat. In the center of these two core mechanics is your stamina, and it's very important that you build this for obvious reasons. For exploration, stamina helps you in getting from one place to another a bit more quicker by allowing you to sprint or dash your way through. You can also climb higher places and glide a little bit more longer when you have more stamina. In combat, stamina is equally as important because this lets you dodge more often as well as letting you execute more charge attacks. To build your stamina up, I highly recommend collecting Animoculus and Geoculus whenever and wherever you can. You can use this very handy Genshin Impact map, which I'll link down in the description below if you want help in looking for the materials needed to level up your statues. Ultimately, stamina plays a huge role in the game, so it's highly recommended to build it up as early as possible. The higher your stamina, the more actions you can do at any given time. Number 6. Weapon passives and refinement. Now, similar with artifacts, weapons in Genshin Impact also have bonuses and their own unique passives that differentiate them from each other. For example, the slingshot bow will boost your damage to a certain percentage when a normal or aimed attack hits a target within 0.3 seconds of being fired. Otherwise, your damage will decrease by a smaller percentage. These types of weapons add depth and variety in terms of building your characters and making them stronger. When you're leveling up your weapons, I highly recommend 1 or 2 star weapons to level them up, including enhancement ores. I wouldn't really use 3-star weapons unless I'm refining the same weapon because some of those blue 3-star weapons are actually decent and can be easily required by just doing some pulls from any banner. In my own experience, I've tried building the slingshot bow with Fischl since I have max refinement on it, and she did more damage than I would have with a non-refined 4-star bow. Refining your weapon will even boost those passive stats even higher, so the slingshot, for example, goes from a 36 damage boost to a plus 60 damage increase at max refinement, which is level 5. There are tons of variety in this game that you can experiment on, especially if you also consider how your artifacts are set up. And lastly, number 7, focus on increasing your adventure rank. There are plenty of ways to increase your adventure rank early on in the game by just doing main story quests and basic open world exploration. Over time, things will start to feel slow as your adventure rank increases, so the best way to level up your AR outside of the main story quest is to always do your daily commissions and fight world bosses by spending your resin. Some world bosses such as Andrews and Storm Terror will only give rewards once a week, so you'll have to cycle through the Hypostasis bosses and the Regis Vine bosses. Genshin Impact is vast and huge that almost everything you do will give you an adventure rank XP. A few examples are finding and opening chests, activating new waypoints, upgrading statues of the 7, as well as discovering and clearing dungeons or domains. All of them will give you an adventure rank XP. This will eventually allow you to unlock more main story quests to progress the story even further. And that's pretty much it. I hope my list will help you out in your next Genshin Impact adventures. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and please do watch out for my next Genshin Impact videos as I will try and give out more tips that I hope will be helpful to you guys. As always, hit the like and subscribe for more Genshin Impact videos. I'll see you guys in the next one.